Okay, welcome back to the channel. Now in this video, I am going to show you every single shot that I hit in a tournament I played last week on the Clutch Pro Tour in Morocco. So first and foremost, thank you so much to Tom and the Clutch team for allowing me to do this. I do plan on doing one of these a month over the summer, and I think it might be quite cool just to give a little bit of an insight into what these rounds are like, the courses we're playing, the conditions we're playing, and potentially you can learn something from it. I'd like for these to be somewhat informative. I'm going to talk over each round and give you an insight into what I'm thinking when I'm playing in these tournaments. But make sure you stay tuned, because at some point in this video, I hit one of the, actually, you know what, it wasn't one of the, it was the worst shot I have ever hit in my golfing career to date. I haven't really played competitively since last year, so I was a little rusty, but I hit the ball well. We ended up finishing tied 6th. I had a really bad week on the greens, so I've been working on that since, but I won't bore you any longer. Let's get into the video. Okay, so hole number 1. Now, as you can see, it was an incredibly windy day. The gusts reached up to about 30 to 35 mile an hour, and this was by no means an easy course. It was 7,600 yards, although we did have some tees up, but it played its full length and it was super tough. So managed to hit the fairway here on the first, which is one of the easier tee shots in my opinion. But the wind was howling off the left here to a left pin. So started this at the flag and just let it drift right, but hit it fairly close. And this was from about 20 foot or so. Just misread the putt. But as you will see, as this video goes on, this tends to be a common theme for the week. Hit lots of greens, just didn't capitalize. So second hole, again, quite a wide tee shot, but hit another great drive. Here I really misjudged the wind, and this is just tournament rust creeping in. I should have been going nowhere near to the back edge of this green, which is where the pin was, but I ended up airmailing the green. So a bit too much stress too early on in the round. I hit a decent chip here, but again, it was about 18 foot. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to save par. So we're not off to the best of starts, but you know, it's a tough day. The wind is up, and I really have to adjust my expectations, and bogeys are going to happen. So we have to forget about them. Now here, this was a 5-iron, same wind as the first hole, howling off the left. So I started this at the pin and just let the wind drift it. And again, I hit a really good shot. This was from about 8 foot, I believe, to try get back to even, but just misread the putt. And that was unfortunate. You know, it would have been nice to hold that. But par 5 coming up here. And this drive for me was really nice because I play a fade and I just started it what I thought was inside that left bunker and let the wind push it. Now this was a 4-iron from 245 and probably one of the best shots for me of the week. I hit this really high dead straight at the pin, and to actually hit this green is difficult. So I managed to pitch it on and left myself about 35 foot uphill. This was a really poor putt. You know, I struggled all week on the greens to get my speed dialed in, and it showed in this putt. Left myself a little bit too much work to do here for birdie, but luckily we made it back to even. Now here, again, I think that this course suited me because there were lots of bunkers at 280-ish, which I can carry quite comfortably. Now, although I didn't do it here, throughout the week I felt very confident off of the tee in that I could just cover the bunkers and make these holes a lot shorter. So this was about 125. I hit a nice wedge in there. Let's see if we can get to 1 under. You know, this is a decent putt, but I hit it just a little too hard. And yeah, another one slips by. But again, a well-played hole, so I wasn't too angry. Now here, lots of people would go straight, but you can take it quite far left if you can cover the bunkers, which I managed to do here. It was quite a bit into wind, so this day in particular, tee shots were quite difficult. But yeah, I left myself a nice wedge in here. And, you know, my wedge distances weren't great all week. And I think that, again, is just down to tournament rust. I really haven't been practicing as I used to. But I put a really nice roll on this, and this was just over 20 foot, and hold it to get to under par, which on a day like today was really good. So this hole, again, I just took it straight over these bunkers, and I was actually not aiming for the fairway as a result. You know, I was taking the right rough as my target, And, you know, although it was in the rough, it was leaving me far less club into the green. So I hit a really good wedge here from about 120 straight over the flag and left myself about 28 feet, I believe, to the pin. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the exact length of each shot because I did write them down to track my stats, but I'll try to give you as close as possible. A nice par there. 7's not an easy hole, so just trying to keep it moving. Back right pin here, and I just played a 7-iron from about 196 straight at it. Let the wind drift it right a bit, and this was good. I hit a decent shot here. It finished just off of the green, I believe, but within 12 to 15 foot, and it was another, it was just on the green, but a very makeable putt, which I just underread. I felt like I did hit a lot of good putts this week, but they just, didn't go in, and sometimes it can be like that. But anyway, 1 under still, heading into the par 5 ninth, which is a tough driving hole, to be honest. It's deceptively tough. You can't see it from this angle, but this was a decent drive, and I kept it left. There's a hazard running down the right, and this was, again, one of my better shots of the week. 290, I just sent a 3-iron up into orbit and let the wind take it. This went straight at the flag, and I don't really know how it stopped short of the pin. But yeah, I did well to hit the green from here and left myself about 30 feet for eagle. And again, I hit a good putt here, but just slightly misread it, a bit too much speed. As you can see from the pin, though, it was quite severely downwind, and putting in these conditions was tough, but managed to 2-putt there for a birdie and 2 under at the turn, which on a day like today was quite good. Another par 5 here, and again I just took it straight over the bunkers, which are actually left of this shot. You can't see them, but I drove it really well in round 1, and driving has been my strength for a while now, and at the moment it just feels really good. This 3-wood, again, was absolutely ripped straight at the flag. I actually went over the green, which was a bit unfortunate. It left me in a bit of a tricky spot, but I actually hit a really good chip here. Just pitched it out to the middle of the green and let it run back down to the pin. It did leave me this, though, which was quite a tricky putt. I shouldn't have missed it, no excuses, but, you know, it was one of those weeks. Disappointing there to not make birdie, because really that's a free birdie in my eyes on a par 5 where you're around the green. So this was about 195 to a back right pin downwind. I just hit a high 8-iron and let the wind take it. And I hit a really good shot here. I was really, really dialed in today in round 1 with my irons. This was from about 8 foot, I believe. And it was a good putt. So 3 under and really feeling good at this point in the round, especially considering I haven't played in so long competitively. I felt great. Again here, just taking it over the bunkers, which I really enjoyed doing on this course. For me, the longer the course, the better I tend to play, because I can just take advantage of my driver. Now, I'm not happy with how I'm reacting to some of these shots, because it wasn't too bad. I think I need to work on my body language moving forward. I don't really get angry, but I don't like seeing that type of reaction. And actually, we had a ruling issue here, so I actually putted with the pin in. I should have taken a bit more time, but left myself a bit too much work to do. Glad I held that, though, to stay at 3. Now, this hole was, I didn't think it was drivable, but I hit this drive straight over the corner. It was 428, I believe, and it ended up running out to the green. So left myself about 35 feet here. And again, just struggled with the speed. This was about 4 foot to go, 4-5 foot uphill on somewhat bumpy greens. Maybe about 3.5 foot, but yeah, hold out well there to get to 4 under. And we were flying at this point, honestly. Although we had missed some birdie putts, I was playing really well. Another tough tee shot here, straight into wind. So did a decent job there. Now this was only about 120, and I punched a 9-iron, which got caught in the wind to a pin where you don't want to miss short. So I thought that I had actually not hit it far enough, but luckily it caught the front edge. And that was a really good break, to be honest. And I had about 35 foot, which, I'm not trying to hole, especially on a day like today where it's so windy and the greens are so fast. It's more about just getting these long putts by the hole and not leaving yourself too much stress coming in. Now, my cameraman missed the drive here on the par 5, but I munched it. Left myself 245 in, and I hit a high draw 3-iron, which, to be honest, was at the flag. It pitched just short of where I needed it to, and it ended up running back down into this collection area. So that was really close to being good. But although this was a difficult lie, I hit quite a good chip here to leave myself about, I'd say 8 to 10 feet right to left to get to 5 under, which you'll see here. I put a good roll on it, took a little hop, but that's just unfortunate. And sometimes that happens, but another really good opportunity missed. And that would have put me at that moment in time, I believe I was in the lead, and that would have put me one ahead. No one really went low at all in round one. So I do feel like I let it slip a little, but here, 16, just hit it in the middle of the green. Although I knew it hadn't gone far enough, I needed to hit it over this slope, which you can somewhat see. But this left me a treacherous putt. And I did a decent job with the speed here, but it just missed the slope. And that doesn't look too far away, but I had about 6 feet left for par, which, just didn't go in. And I struggled from this distance the whole day, the whole week. And it's quite annoying at this point in the round, going back to 3 under when I was so close to getting it to 5 on the par 5. I was really disappointed with the finish. And 17 here, taking it over the bunkers. And I gave myself a decent look at this flag, but I was a bit cautious. That bunker on the left is closer than it looks here, and it's pretty dead. So I just flared it out to the right, gave myself about 30 foot. And my wedges weren't really too sharp, although I can't complain too much because I did avoid, going left, which would have brought into play a bogey or double, and pars are never too bad. This was, I don't know what happened here. I'd driven it so well all day. I just hit somewhat of a double cross and hit it into the hazard on 18. And now, I could have been 5 under a few holes ago. I'm really fuming because I probably won't par this. I mean, this was my 3rd shot. Just trying to get it somewhere around the green so I can make up and down for bogey. Whenever this type of thing happens, I have to think about, first and foremost, how do I just make the 5? So I needed up and down here for a bogey to finish -2, and I did a really good job. I hit a nice chip, gave myself about 6 feet for the bogey rather, and it was nice to finish on that, because if I had doubled the last and finished at 1, really I would have gone to bed feeling quite a lot more disappointed, especially after how well I did hit it. But I was positioned fairly well after the first round. I believe the leader was 4. There was one at 3, then I was at 2. And I did feel like I left a lot out there. But anyway, round 2 was another day. So let's get into that round. I was hoping to go really low, really low. I think anytime your swing's in a good spot, which it was this week, you just kind of can't wait to wake up and tee off in the next round. So that was, I was positive heading into day 2. And I had a good warm-up, and let's see. The first hole, I managed to hit another good drive right down the middle. Left myself a nice wedge in. I experimented overnight with my putting grip. I rewatched old videos of when I putted well, and went back to something that was a little more comfortable. So, through this video, you're going to see a fair few grips used, because I kind of got in my own head a bit this week with the putting. But, that wasn't an overly makeable putt, so no complaints there really with the par. Now, this drive was a little bit of a miss. You'll see in round 3 what I do on this hole, but I just tend to get a bit happy on that tee box and hit it a bit too hard. I don't know why. Something I need to work on moving forward, just being able to control it and swing it at about 80% when it's super downwind. But a good approach shot in here, had about 10 foot and just slid by. So that was a little disappointing. It would have been nice to birdie that and get under par early on for the round. But anyway, on to the next. A par 3, about 170 into wind. I hit an 8-iron here, and it just stayed up on the left edge of the green with the wind. It didn't really come back. So not a great shot, but on the par 3s, you can't really complain with being on the green and giving yourself a 2-putt for par. I think on the PGA Tour, if you average 3.0 for your par 3s, you're in the top 20 or 30. So really the key to par 3s is to just hit the green, not really go for pins, and 2-putt. Again, cameraman missed this tee shot. I think he went to the toilet, but hit a great drive. Was a bit unlucky with this shot because it rolled back down into the bunker. It was straight at the flag, but hit a decent bunker shot here. Now, hopefully we can get it to 1 under. It was about 10 feet, a bit left to right. Let's see if we can hold it. We cannot. So even par through 4, and you know, the frustration was slowly starting to build up because I do feel like I was giving myself a lot of good looks, and whenever I'm not able to capitalize, just like anybody else, it's frustrating. Here I absolutely munched one over the corner, and today my swing was feeling really good. I had a really good gym session before the round. I was feeling loose. This was only 60 yards into what's quite a long hole, and again, a sloppy wedge, so something I do need to work on moving forward. Gave myself a good chance and just overread it. You know, I think that was a good stroke, but the read was off. So, you know, again, disappointing, but I put a good roll on it. Again, I just took this way over the corner towards the green because I was feeling good. 60 yards again, but just couldn't get the yardage down. I really struggled with 60-yard shots this event, and I have been working on them since. So a shame to have 30 feet here for the birdie after such a good drive, but yeah, another par and on to the next, where I believe I went straight over the bunker again. It wasn't as windy this round, but yeah, put a really good swing on this. And yeah, this was about 90 yards, I believe I had to the pin, which I'm a lot more comfortable with. I prefer hitting wedge shots from like 90 plus yards than I do from 60, but you know, I know I need to work on that. I always have done, and finally hold one actually. That was surprising to see. I wasn't expecting that. Pin was left here, so I just tried flighting down a 6-iron. It played about 205, but it just didn't draw back. However, you cannot miss this green left. So even though this was 60 feet, it's not a bad miss, because if I was left, it would have been very hard to make par. So actually, this was a really good putt. In a video where I'm going to just be, I guess, saying repeatedly, that wasn't a great putt. That was a good putt, and I was quite happy to get away with a 3 there after that tee shot. Now, the 9th was playing very long in this round, straight into wind. So I teed this down. It's my fairway finder, and did the first job, which was get it in play. And that left me about 300 yards in. So, you know, not too much further than round 1, but this was straight into wind. So I hit a driver off the deck here, bombed it straight at the pin, and had about 40-ish yards in. Now, I could have been a bit more aggressive with my line here because that bunker really wasn't in play. I was just a little too safe, and although it wasn't a bad chip, it left me in that zone where I'd been struggling all week. So this was maybe like 10 feet, probably under, and again, just overread it. Another opportunity that, you know, a great opportunity really to make birdie, slips by, and making the turn at 1 under to me is just frustrating at this point because I feel like I was hitting it really well. Now another good drive here over the bunkers. This was straight downwind, so I tried to take advantage of that. I was in between clubs here, so this was 7-iron from 220, but it just flared out right. You know, this pin I didn't really want to go left of, but I left myself in a decent spot and chipped it up nicely. But unfortunately, it was within that range again, and on this part, I leave it way short, and I think that was because of the wind. Now, again, being out of practice when it comes to tournaments, I just wasn't really considering that. You know, the wind didn't even cross my mind. So this is all good feedback for me to look at. So this pin was on the left. I let the wind drift it right. So it wasn't a great shot, but again, I can't be too unhappy with it because it was on the green. This was about 35 foot straight up the hill, and it was a really good putt. So managed to escape this hole with a 3 and safely onto the next, which is, again, where I just hit what I thought was a not bad drive. It just caught the wind. I guess I hit it slightly out of the toe. It ended up bouncing into these bushes. So pretty unfortunate. This was my 3rd shot, which ended up just short left. And now, like I mentioned earlier, my priority here is to make a 5. I have to get up and down here to make a 5 because You can always come back from a bogey, but doubles are killers. You know, it was just this length again, which I really, at this point in the tournament, I was just not comfortable with. I just didn't want to hit these. I had zero confidence. I'm pretty sure I changed grip again there. And a double, and now I'm over par for the round when I've hit it really good. And it's frustrating, but I tried not to let it get to me. You know, ultimately, if I want to play well, which is my goal, I have to forget about the bad shots and the doubles. I have to. I could remain angry for the rest of the round, but it's not going to allow me to play well. So if I want to play well, which I do, I have to forget about it. And I did a good job of doing that. Now, this hole was, first of all, the views are beautiful here. But it was playing quite tough into the wind. So although it's short, and on other days it would be a birdie hole, I had to adjust my expectations here. And, you know, a 4 is okay. 4 is not bad. But made a nice par there and moved on to the next. So at this point after the double, I'm just trying to steady the ship. Steady the ship so that I can make a push towards the end to make a few birdies. Now, this is a great hole. Hit a nice iron here into the fairway. This was about 145 straight downwind. I hit a gap wedge at the flag. And again, just a really, really well played shot. And left myself a good look at birdie. But overread the putt, which seemed to be a trend for the week. I did overread them. They didn't break too much because, you know, in parts they were bumpy and I think they were taking a hop to begin with and not really holding the line. So that's something I should have adjusted to earlier, but unfortunately I wasn't able to. Now here, I took it over the bunkers again. This wasn't lying too well in the rough, so it just came out a little left, which it was okay to this pin, but not a great shot. This, however, was a good chip and it left me close enough to feel comfortable that I could make a birdie and get this round back on track. Like I said, if I wanted to play well today, I needed to forget about that double, and I think I did a really good job of that. This was wind off the right, but that was the only thing I really struggled with this week with my irons when it was a right to left wind. I somewhat lost my fade, and it was more neutral, so it was tough for me to hold it up. But on these holes, I just kind of accepted that, you know, being pin high left was okay. And I actually thought that was going to go in. But yeah, a decent par. Like I said, on par threes, if you make par, it's never a bad thing. Now here I hit a really good drive. It was into wind, but so I couldn't go over the bunkers like I did in the previous rounds and the next. But yeah, hit a really good drive. But again, a wind off the right. So I just accepted here that it's going to probably end up left of the flag, pin high. But as long as I got the distance correct, I could give myself a good look at birdie. And this was about 22 or 23 feet. And I hit a really good putt here. So now we're back under par. And hopefully we can finish strong. 18 is a very difficult hole. I hit a bad drive yesterday. So let's see what I do today. This was straight into, but that bunker on the right, I believe, is like 280 to cover, which for me into wind is quite comfortable. So a really good drive. And again, just trying to make sure I don't do anything stupid here. So a bit of a defensive mindset. I didn't want to go left of this pin, which was tucked on the left. So I hit it outright and yeah, hit a really good putt here. So let's see if we can finish at 2 for the day. Just slides by. A good putt though, nonetheless. And we finished round 2 rather, 1 under. So, you know, heading into the third round, 3 under par, when I've hit it really a lot better, in my opinion, than 3 under. So I was a bit frustrated and I really, really wanted to go out in the third round and go low. I just wanted to go super low. And I did some work on the putting green after. I did a lot of work on the green before round 3. Did it pay off? I don't know. But also coming up is the worst shot I've ever hit. So I will include it because I hit it. It doesn't bug me. It's with my driver. My driver I love to bits, and these things happen. And it was really early in the round, and I struggled to get over it quickly, but I did manage to in the end. And anyway, it's on hole 2, so stay tuned, and we will get into it. So round 3, 3 under for the event, and looking for a big final round push to try catch the leader. So a good drive here. Pretty unfortunate to end up where I did on the edge of the bunker, but I hit a decent wedge shot in here from about 65, 70 yards. Left myself a birdie putt, which let's see if we can hole. Can we get off to a good start here? We can, because I'm using a new grip. I changed grip again, and anyway, it worked on that hole. Now, I'm going to pause. All right, now, I'm going to give you some context here. I birdied one, and I'd been thinking about this all evening. I want to birdie the first, and then I'm going to go low. I'm going to shoot 10, 12, 13 under, right, whatever. I'm a little too excited. I tee it a bit too high and try and hit it a bit too hard. All right? So anyway, let's go. Yeah. I've never done that in my life. I've never topped a driver or any club in my life. But actually, I'll pause it again. So you see here, I dropped the red stake. I could have actually hit another driver, 3 off of the tee, but there was no way I was doing that. I actually got it out, teed it up, and I was like, I can't do this. I was so mentally scarred from topping the previous drive. I had to drop it here in the long grass and hit 3-wood. So yeah, that was, it's just never happened to me. I do hit quite up on my driver, but my driving is my strength. So to be honest, it doesn't bother me too much. It's quite funny to watch back. But yeah, 4th shot in here from 125-ish, and this was for the bogey. So again, another grip. Can it work? Yes, it can. So quite lucky there to escape with a bogey. Now we're back to even, so we can kind of reset and just get going with this final round. So 3rd hole, this was a 9-iron from about 175, 180-ish to a right pin, which I probably shouldn't have gone so aggressively at. But no, at this stage, I'm not in the lead. I need to make birdies, and I hit it to about a foot. So that was great. Great shot there. Back under par after an eventful first 3 holes. Now, again, just starting this at the left bunker on the par 5 here. Hit a great drive. It was a bit into wind this hole, so I needed to hit a driver off of the deck for my 2nd shot, which was on a bit of a launch pad, so I lost my balance. But this went straight at the flag. And to be honest, it deserved to finish closer than it did, but I airmailed the green. It went straight through the wind, and I left myself a fairly difficult chip, which I managed to hit to, I think, 5 or 6 feet. And here's another opportunity to, well, it's about 8 foot, to get to 2 under early on, which, just a complete misread there. And actually, upon watching it back, I think it probably didn't have enough speed. So rather than the read being off, it clearly didn't have enough speed. I hit a good drive here. Now I'm going to pause again. So at this point, this is now the 2nd driver I've hit since the top. And it's creeping into my head, that thought, like, I've just topped one. What do I do? Like, my swing thought really to prevent that happening again was just to chill. Swing it at 70%, make sure I stay on top of it. But yeah, hole 5, and it was still in my head, to be honest. So I was quite happy to hit a good drive here. This was about 80 yards, I believe. And I hit a good wedge shot here, and I'm desperately at this point trying to get to 2 under because time's running out. I need to make birdies, and I gave myself a lot of good chances. This was about 20-ish foot, just over at it, and another par. But a fair amount of golf left, so I still remain confident that I could turn this round into something special. Now here, this is where that top kind of crept into my mind a bit, because I just wasn't comfortable over the ball. But like I said, I was trying to cut the corner, but you can actually go straight down these holes, and I was absolutely fine. I had a 9-iron in here, which I fired straight at the flag because there was room right of it. I don't usually advocate firing at flags, but over the bunker, there was, as you can see, room right of this pin, which is where I went. And I had about 10 foot here for the birdie, and got a bit lucky there. Hold it to get to -2, which was great. And now I'm just like in full aggressive mode. Took this straight over the corner, and I just want to birdie every single hole in sight. That was the goal. So here I hit a decent approach shot in. I think I had 90 yards on the dot. It was a little right of the pin, but fairly well played. All right, camera just ran out, but had about 12 feet here And again, just overread the putt. So a little frustrating, but anyway, on to the next hole. I had to keep in mind that it was difficult for everybody this week and on these greens. So I had to, try to stay calm, but tucked left pin here. And the reason why I reacted like this is because my iron shot was drifting left with a right to left wind, and left on this green is dead. It managed to stay up, and I gave myself an outside look at birdie, which I think we can all agree was going way past the hole. So yeah, I got pretty lucky there, to be honest, but no complaints. Right, so to the ninth hole. This was playing quite tough into wind, but I put a really nice smooth swing on it. So at this point in the round, I was doing a nice job of keeping this driver in check. But it was a little unfortunate to finish here where it did. It made this second shot layup really quite difficult, and I ended up hitting it way left. But I had a shot into this green. This was a punch 8 iron, kind of going directly down the green, down the flag. So it was actually quite nice. Just a bit far away, but I gave myself a good look here. I think this was about 12 feet or so. Yeah, 12, 13 feet. And again, just another misread here, and disappointing to make the turn at just 3 under with that top in there. At this point, I feel like I'm playing a lot better than the score. So again, frustration is building, but another par 5 coming up where I hit this one down the middle, but by no means flush. It was very spinny. As you'll see, for the first time in a while, I'm way behind my playing partners. And again, another spinny 3-wood. I was a bit, on a bit of a launch pad here, but left it in a really good spot. So this chip, I've been watching a lot of Scheffler recently, and he does this. He bumps it into the slope with a lot of confidence when he's short-sided. So I was like, I might as well try to do the same thing. Played it really well. I must have only had 4 feet here, but yeah, just not feeling great over these putts. Like really not good at all. And another slipped opportunity there. So still 3 under. Not great. So I think I've made 2 twos so far, and this was another really good iron shot into a par 3. This was a 5 iron that I flighted down, went straight at the flag, and this was about 6 foot. And I actually underread it. So I'm going to pause here quickly. I had been overreading all of my putts up until this moment. And I thought to myself before this putt, okay, let's just underread one and you might hole it. And, funnily enough, I just missed it way low. Just thought I'd share that with you because it's quite funny to think about now, looking back. Another great chance gone, and on to the next we go. So this hole is probably the toughest tee shot on the course, and I hit a very similar shot to round 2 yesterday when I made the double. A bit out the toe, but it didn't really ride the wind as much as yesterday's, so it ended up being perfect. And I hit a really good shot in here. This was a knockdown 7 iron, straight at the pin. Unfortunately, it just pitched a bit too far and ran through the green. In fact, all 3 of us went through the green on this hole. And then a really poor putt here, to be honest. It was only about 30 feet, a bit less, and I really shouldn't have hit it 6 foot past, but left myself quite a bit of work to do here. This was about 8 foot actually for the par. Managed to hold it, which was nice. Now, I'm going to pause here again because I end up hitting a really bad tee shot here because I tried to overcomplicate it. I tried overcomplicating this way too much. I'd hit it super low, tried to just hit it like, 1-2 foot off the ground. And had I just put a normal swing on this, it would have been fine. Just a normal range swing. It may have not gone as far, but it would have actually been in play, which on a hole where it's this windy and tough, that's the main focus. So a lesson for me moving forward is to just try not to overcomplicate these tee shots too much. Okay, as you can see, just, you probably can't see, but I tried hitting this really low and it went in the trees. And then it's an automatic bogey at best. But this was actually a really well played chip out. I got it quite far down there, but a sloppy third shot here. And this just comes down to lack of reps in tournament. I thought that I had the right swing for this yardage, but I needed one more club and just out of practice. But trying to limit the damage here and make 5 at worst, which I luckily, not luckily, but I was able to do, which was good. So
Still at 2 under and just trying to get back on the birdie train really ASAP because swing is feeling good. 3-iron here into the middle of the fairway, which this is a beautiful tee shot. It's a shame the cameraman couldn't get behind me, but he would have been in the sea otherwise. Same yardage actually as the day before, 140-ish, downwind, same club, and pretty much the same result. I hit this to about 12 feet, I believe, maybe 9, not 9, 10, and a misread. The speed was good and it missed, so the read was off there clearly. But again, another good opportunity that slipped by, and yeah, at this point I was just really frustrated, to be honest. I don't really have much else to say, but I've been working a lot this week on my putting. A good opportunity here to pick up a shot on the par 5. This was a really good drive over the bunker and left myself a nice angle in, but just double crossed this, to be honest. Left is the one place I couldn't go, and I went there. So again, just a little bit of sloppiness creeping in. If I were to do that shot all over again, I would just hit it short right, give myself a birdie putt, and take out the chance of making a bogey, because these waste areas here were really difficult. I tried to do something different here because of it was all rocks pretty much. So I put it back in my stance and punched it forward. And at this point, I'm thinking that, I'm a bit worried because I can't get it out of this waste area. And I wanted to really just make sure I got it on the green at least. But I hit it really well to about 6 foot. And yeah, another poor putt here. So we're back to 1 under, on a round where I feel like I've hit the ball incredible. But can we bring it back? Hole number 16. This was a 6-iron and going for the third 2 of the round, which I gave myself a good look at. I think I hit this to about 8 foot and we hold it. So a nice birdie there, a nice bounce back, which is always important to try follow a mistake or a bogey with a par or birdie. It always feels nice. And this was a great drive over the bunkers, putting myself in a nice position again to try get a birdie back and salvage this round if we can. 90 yards in from here, and took it straight at the flag and hit a really good shot. I think I hit this to about 5 feet or so. Let's see. Yeah, about 6 foot. And yeah, not good. Hole number 18. This was one of my best drives of the week, to be honest. Just pounded it absolutely miles down there. It was really nice to finish on this, but unfortunately I think that led me to get a bit too aggressive with my approach shot. Now I'm going to pause again. When the pin is back right here and there is such a deep bunker right, don't aim at the pin. Like I had no business going for this pin. I should have just hit it pin high left, given myself a birdie putt. At this point I was maybe top 4, top 3, top 4. This could have cost like £1,000, which at this level is a lot of money, this bogey. So again, it's just sloppiness and lack of competitive reps. And if I were to play that shot again, I would shift my target line further left, because I actually hit a really good shot, but it just didn't carry far enough. As you can see here, it ends up in this bunker, and a good swing with just a poor decision. But I can learn from that moving forward. Now, I should really have hit this a bit closer, but there was quite a bit of sand in this area of the bunker, which I didn't realize. And ultimately, it was a very poor shot. So up and down here to try save a bogey. And to finish this round at 1 under was really frustrating, to be honest. But yeah, did a good job here holding out. And 1 under for the third round and finished the week at 4 under par, which, it was tough, to be honest, because I do feel like I hit the ball really, really well. Other than the top, like I hit the ball really, really well during this event. And I just wasn't able to gather any momentum on the greens, which sometimes it happens. I think my stats for the week, I don't think I know. Strokes gained tee to green combined for the week was just over +6. So that's really positive for me to see, especially after having been out of competition for so long. To come back and hit it that well on a very difficult course in very difficult conditions was really positive. But my strokes gained putting was just under -6. Now, it's annoying, but it's also good because it's very clear to me now what I need to work on moving forward. I'm flying out tomorrow to Turkey for the Turkish Airlines Open, which I earned a spot into by winning a Pro-Am in Turkey. And that's going to be fun. I'm going to try video behind the scenes there. I don't believe I can video during the event because they have a contract with Sky and whatnot, but I'll try video as much as I can there. However, over the last week since I've been back, leading up to traveling to Turkey, I've been working on my putting a lot and it's starting to feel a lot better. I'm still hitting it really well, so I'm excited for next week. And with regards to these clutch events, I think I will do one a month and try and YouTube them all. And I think it will be really good to just build up a collection of these events to hopefully provide some entertainment for you. And if there's any feedback you have, whether it be how these are put together, if you want to see more behind the scenes, please let me know. This is the first attempt for me at doing this. I haven't really seen much like this online. So, there's probably a lot that I'm getting wrong here, but I do hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the top. It was difficult for me to put that in here, but, I have to keep it real with you. And thank you for watching if you did, and stay tuned and see you in the next one.